We have one case before the board tonight, and Mr. Mardian, I understand, has an announcement.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brad and Mr. Jay. I have an announcement on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Glendale Historical Society. I'd like to announce the 2015 TGHS home tour. This year's theme is Mad for Modern, and it's an architectural tour of 6 distinctive mid-century modern houses designed by David Alexman, William DeQuette, Edward Kirtland, Quincy Jones, Devin Markwood Jr., and Carl Schwarzfeger. And it's held on Sunday, September 27, 2015, and it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the tickets are on sale now. Advance tickets for TGHS members is $25. General public is $35. After September 21st, for TGHS member, $30, and general public, $40. And ticket info is also at www.glendalehistorical.org or www.glendalearts.org. And tickets also may be purchased on the same day of the event at the Alex Theater only. This is an architectural tour where guests will drive to the featured homes that Dawson leads the tour. We appreciate your attendance. Again, it's the Glendale Historical Society Annual Home Tour, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you. And we'll go on to oral communication. I have none. And we'll go to the calendar. Any staff announcements? We'll go to the first case, PDR 1506523-621 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. And I'll go to Vista. Thank you.
Good evening and thank you. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 2,219 square foot, 1-story, single-family house with a new detached 2-car garage located at 621 West Glen Oaks Boulevard in the R3050 moderate density residential zone. The subject property is an interior lot originally developed in 1924 and located on the northeasterly portion of West Glen Oaks Boulevard. The site topography consists of flat terrain with irregular rectangular shapes similar to other residential properties in the neighborhood. The site is currently developed with a 1-story, 967 square foot single-family house that's designed in the Spanish style and a detached 2-car garage located at the rear of the lot. The existing house and garage will be demolished as part of the applicant's proposal. The historic preservation planner has determined that this house is not eligible for local, state, or national register of historic resources. The subject property is located in a moderate density residential zone along a major arterial, West Glen Oaks Boulevard, with predominantly multifamily development abutting the subject property and some single-family homes to the north. The proposed site planning, massing, scale, design, and detailing are appropriate to the site and its surrounding as modified by the proposed conditions. The new home will face West Glen Oaks Boulevard and will maintain the prevailing 25-foot street front setback for residential properties on the street. It will be located in approximately the same location as the current development, but with a larger footprint. The additional mass will be located towards the rear of the new home, focused away from the street. As seen from West Glen Oaks Boulevard, the site is currently developed with a 1-story single-family home with a detached garage at the rear. The applicant's proposal will maintain this condition with a maximum overall height of 16 feet. The new detached garage, located in the northwest corner of the subject property, is appropriately set back from the interior property lines, allowing for additional landscaping to be provided for. The location of the garage also follows the predominant neighborhood pattern. A new wrought iron boundary wall fence with a pedestrian gate to the west and a vehicular access gate towards the east are also proposed. The wrought iron will have a simple vertical pattern that complements the design of the building and the fence and gate. They are appropriately set back from the corners of the building. There's an existing block wall boundary fence located towards the rear half of the property that will also remain. The proposed landscaping plan is complementary to the development of the site, with new drought-tolerant landscaping incorporated into creating a functional and usable outdoor space. The proposed gabled and hipped roof forms with a consistent pitch of 5 and 12 are appropriate for the proposed home. All new windows are proposed to be fiberglass, casement, and recessed with wood frames. The new house will be smooth stucco with a brick veneer base along the front and side, consistent with the traditional style that's being proposed. Staff has received one comment from the adjacent neighbor as it relates to noise during construction. However, they did not voice any concerns about the proposed design of the project. Staff recommends approval of the project with 2 conditions as noted in the staff report. This concludes my presentation. I'm available with any questions. Thank you.
Any questions to staff?
I have a couple questions. For the R3050 zone, there are I think the proposed development is a care congregate facility. So there are 2 that I found in the code, and one needs a conditional permit and one that's permitted, like limited one. Which one is these?
This one will be a limited residential congregate care facility as defined in our zoning code, where there's 6 beds.
Okay.
Anything in excess of 6 beds then triggers the conditional use permit.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr., what's that window surround in the front elevation? Because I didn't see it on the plan.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, because that's a kitchen window, it's to give a little relief to the facade.
But is that stucco? Or
It'll be stucco, just bump out, basically, that creates the deeper sill in the kitchen, and something you often see on buildings that resemble this one, usually older properties, though.
And we're saying the windows are going to be recessed because the rendering doesn't dictate that. Kind of shows flush. Those are my questions, actually.
Nope.
I'll give you a minute until you
Not
come
yet.
up. Any other questions, or? No?
I just was wondering if there's a sample board.
Yes.
We have a staff condition to revise the elevations to accurately depict the sills that the
Okay.
applicants have indicated they're going to be using, but they're definitely not on the elevations right now.
I'll open the public, no more questions? We'll open the public hearing. I'll go to the applicant, Mr. Martin Whitcomb. Or Whitcomb? Whitcomb is right, the first one, okay.
Vista pretty much gave a good description of what we're doing here. Single-family residence that we're demolishing. It's pretty weary. I don't know if you had to go out and take a look at it, but it's had a lot of damage for many, many years until my client got it and started to fix it, but there are so many problems with it. It's difficult to do anything with. The 2 conditions that Vista and Jay came up with were exterior lighting. We need to shield the lighting so that it doesn't affect the neighbors in any way, and that's an easy thing that we can do, and we should have picked that up. And the other thing were the windows, as Jay mentioned, the elevations and even the rendering don't show the actual detail of the windows, so the drawings that we will complete will show that. The landscaping is water-wise, as Vista mentioned, and we did a lot of work on this. It's going to have a year-round blooming for the plants. We're using native plants, and the main thing we were concerned about is native grass. We're using low water-wise grass, but it's native, and that's to provide a permeable surface condition as well as safe walking for the tenants that live there and so forth. The roof, as Vista mentioned, is a Dutch gable combination with wood siding at the gable ends, and that adds some contrast to roof as well as the stucco. And we, like the combination of that. And the color is not white, but a sort of dove gray to add kind of an elegance to it and a little more sophistication. And as well as the trim on the fascia and the window trim as well. White we thought was just too stark, and it would be kind of almost look temporary. We like the gray much better. The stucco is a smooth stucco finish. It adds a little more character to it and a little more quality, we think. And we think basically the colors that we choose, we have an accent color on the doors and the shutters, just add some color to it. And the brick veneer that we have on the exterior wainscot, is one of the characteristics of the neighborhood as well, but it's a good quality veneer and it will look like used brick rather than some of these applied brick veneers. I think that's about all I had to say, that other than the small unit assistive living for 6 people is a great alternative to convalescent homes. These people are ambulatory still. They just need help, and compared to like a 99 bed, which is convalescent homes, where you get lost, this will be an actual family that will live there. They're just, living in a group, and they'll be assisted. So it's an excellent project. We hope to get started soon.
Thank you. Can you stay up?
Mr. Whitcomb?
Mr. Whitman, can you stay up for a few minutes? We have a couple of questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your last statement is bringing about this question. So you indicated that this is a alternative to like a nursing home, but this is a congregate living facility.
That's right.
So it might have people that are not elderly but might need physical therapy for extended periods of time, post-hospitalization, things like that, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So this is not necessarily just limited to those types of folks?
No, it's
Okay.
it's that, and it's just to the point where they might need hospitalization, if there's something like that. But yes, it's certainly a rehab or whatever, physical therapy, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then I have a question about the interior showers only as they relate to the coating, so I can understand if it's going to potentially affect design once built. You seem to have indicated that the showers are like a stand-up shower and not a tub, which I would expect to see in a facility of this nature. So is that, in your experience, workable for this type of use?
Yes, it is. We do have a sit-down shower,
Okay.
disabled. If somebody's in a wheelchair, they do have that access. But we don't have any tubs in this thing, like soaking tubs for that sort of thing.
Okay.
But-
But you don't foresee, have you built one of these before?
No, I've visited a few of them. They seem to all go this direction.
Okay, so it's not a situation where we might have to have a bathtub later, and therefore the dimensions of the bathroom change, and then the dimensions of the exterior have to change, and we're not actually seeing that here. So that's fine for
Yeah.
my purposes.
We plan on what is drawn
Yeah.
is what's going to be.
Yeah, as built. Okay, that answered that question. And then there's a tree on A1 that's not notated between your apple and demo, your apple demo and your lemon demo tree. Just do you have an idea if that's a protected tree, or if there's any protected trees on the property?
Yeah, there's a king palm that gets demolished.
That's in the front,
Oh,
toward the back in the north of the garage.
Oh, apple demo. Darren, do you know what the center tree is?
It's not a protected tree?
No, it's not.
Small with 12 feet tall. They're all small.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it, Mr. Warner.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Any workers will be working in this place? Since it's an assisted living.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how many?
No, I don't really. It's somebody's got to be there all the time, so it'd probably be
Did you guys think about parking for these people?
just that what's the required parking, and then we do have parking down the driveway. The required parking is two spaces covered, but there is parking plenty of parking in the concourse and driveway. But it's not going to be more than one person, I think, at a time that would be there, So,
So one person at a time.
yeah, I think so. But it's a 24-hour thing, so there would be, I imagine there's a little bit back and forth and overlap, but the two people that would be there maybe have two cars at the most, but then there are two stalls anyway, two places to park anyway, so.
I have also another question, and it's similar to my colleague over here, and it's the wheel, the 5-foot turning radius of a wheelchair. It seems like you have it only in one restroom, and the other restrooms in the back where it serves the other suites, you don't have it. You don't have the clearance over there. And don't you think in a facility of this care you would need that?
We have one disabled, if somebody's in a wheelchair, they would use that. Walkers and so forth, there's a typical clearance that's required for residents in that, actually a little bit larger. But each individual bathroom to be disabled access, we voluntarily did this, I'd say. Yeah.
I know, but it just doesn't make sense for a person that's sleeping in this last room, if they are on a wheelchair, to go across the whole house to use this restroom.
It's typical.
It's something to look at.
Yeah, it's typical in this type of facility, but that's where the attendant would come in too. 24 hours a day, there's somebody there,
And just if I may, to clarify, the concern is that because obviously we're not dealing with interior design issues, but the concern is that there's other regulatory agencies that oversee these types of facilities, and should there be a problem with the dimensions as built out, there's not a lot of room in the interior to play with, and that might affect exterior design issues, it might affect setback issues, and we might have a situation where what is being presented to the design review board is not what's actually been built. But your answer to that previous question was that you've checked this out, and this will in fact meet, so my question to you is, will this in fact meet those regulatory bodies that oversee this type of...
Yes, it's a residence. I'm a CASP also, Certified Access Specialist.
Okay.
But being a residence like this, it was actually, we offered up that, as a CASP, I considered all these things.
So the question is, it's going to meet code requirement through the building.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
You don't anticipate any design changes.
No.
If it
We
were,
assume it works with zoning, so we're not going to question.
Yeah, we can't. So we can't question that.
Any more questions?
And the last comment I have is the rear door, the rear side door. It seems like you have a landing, and I would think it'll work better if you have like a ramp or something, because if you want to take somebody on a wheelchair out to the backyard, you're not going to go like around the front and take them out and come around the whole property.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually what we're going to do is consider that when we finish, it's almost a dead flat lot in a way. This is very slight slope. And so my guess is, we will be able to do this, but I just have to work it out at that time.
No problem.
And that would be, the only difference would be there would be a handrail on one side, which is fine.
It's okay. Yeah.
It would still work.
I have a few questions. Now I'm seeing three different colors with the stucco. Your elevations are, semi-peach colors.
Yeah, that's the color.
And the
It's
rendering is more
limitation.
and now we're seeing this.
That's the color.
This is the color. Okay.
Yeah, it's the limitations of AutoCAD.
But I understand. You
Yeah.
can get close, though.
Yeah.
But
smooth.
you mentioned it's smooth, but this is not what you're talking about, smooth.
That's the one we're going to use. Yeah, that's
That's
as compared to
not
like
smooth.
a dash or
So it's more of a sand finish.
light sand.
Yeah.
finish,
Okay. So this is the intent.
That's the exact one we're going to use.
So I won't consider this smooth, though.
Okay.
But I had a question. Is there any possibility to raise those eave vents? It seems like you're pushing it, shoving it all the way underneath here. Can you drop it a little bit? Or are you having a ceiling height problem? The other comment that I have, is there any way to break this roof? I mean, continue the same thing so we can have a little play at the side? And the same thing, maybe a little, projected eave to come out on the entry. It just seemed so straight. And my thought is, this is at minimum ceiling height at 8 feet.
Yeah.
Is there a requirement that cannot be more?
Well, we got to maintain the height of the building no higher than 16 is what we're looking for.
So why is that? Why 16?
The auxiliary garage building is that?
No, I'm not talking about the garage. I'm talking about the building. So you can get a relief in the gable end and maybe make the ceilings 9 feet. But, if you can just drop that eave vent a little bit, the circle.
Yeah, there's certainly things that we can do. The main thing here is we're using a solar exhaust fan for the attic ventilation. So we just have to make up the air for the exhaust fan. And, so however we get that air, we can do it,
I'm just talking about the ceiling. I noticed those vents, so you're not relying on any roof vents then. It's just those 4 or 3 you mentioned on the...
Yeah.
I just thought it will help your elevation a little bit since you got such, larger buildings on the side. Maybe the you can push it up a foot. It gives you a better environment inside also for the ceiling.
I guess because of the cost, I'd like to limit if we do that.
Well, as long as you can play around with that vent, maybe drop it down as long,
Yeah, there's no restriction.
I strongly suggest also the side elevations break the roof a little bit. You have the opportunity. It's just going to extend out a little more. And now that you have such mild slope, 1 to 20, do you still need a handrail there?
Not a 1 in 20, no.
That's what you call it, but you show this handrail.
Again, we just have to work that out.
If you can avoid the handrail, it's just...
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that high. It's 34 to 38, whatever.
34 to 38,
yeah. So maybe you can try to hide it in within the brick.
Right. Yeah.
And I had, these trees you mentioned on the side yard. I'm looking at your landscape. These are shrubs or trees? You mentioned they're fairly high, but is it a shrub or a tree? Let me get my page ready to go. I think it's 16. There's 3 of
16
them.
is a Toyon pine, it looks like. It grows 8 to 15 feet high and 10 to 15 feet wide.
Can we make sure these are all 24-inch box? Because you mentioned the height, but you don't show the size.
That the trees that are placed are 24-inch box?
Is there any way you could, this is the only area that the users are going to be using the backyard. These pines are not really canopy trees. Wouldn't you want to create some shade in the back?
It's pretty shady back there now, to be honest. Yeah, this afternoon sun is blocked by the apartment next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
backyard?
The one that's missing.
Yeah.
That's all my questions, actually. I think it's a simple project.
Maybe the demo.
You can tweak some of these things. I think you'll be okay. And you said it's wood siding at the gable ends, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a
hardy board or
hardy board or something like that with a, yeah.
My colleague had visited and taken a picture, so I'm going to go back to the tree question real quick. The center tree is not going to be removed, correct? And it looks like to me like a Japanese or Chinese magnolia, or maybe a San Juan magnolia tree.
the center tree is going because of the floor plan.
It goes, yeah.
It's going, okay, so it's not marked as demo, but
It's not a deed or anything. Yeah, it's a demo.
Okay. The nice one.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Not protected.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Close the public hearing. I don't see anybody wants to speak. You have any questions, or you wanna-
I'm just opening up to.
Would you open it up for comments? And if we need him to come back,
Okay.
okay. Mr. Church, I'll start with you.
Okay, thank you. Most of the questions and concerns I had were addressed in the question-answer session that we just had. I agree with your comment on breaking up the roof line and adding a little bit more character to the side yard, and also making sure that the landscaping is mature enough that it's going to survive, especially in our drought conditions now. We wouldn't want to have just a bunch of small box vegetation and trees and shrubs put in that aren't going to last. So I think we need to make sure that that's the case, especially since we're removing so much from the existing lot. Other than that, I'm in support of the project. I had some concerns about this being an as-built project, but I've been given assurances that what we see here is the way it's going to be built, so I think that's okay. And I defer to my colleagues for additional comments.
Mr. Bellerin?
I have a similar comment too. I think I agree with Mr. Mardian. The elevation should be pushed up a little bit, just to. I mean, the house is falling in between like two buildings that are like massive in size, and that would help. Just raising up that front elevation a little bit, it'll help a lot of things because I think it's getting a little bit too busy in this area here, and even the stone veneer over here on the rendering, it seems like it's going a little bit too high, like proportion-wise. So, other than that, I see this as a pretty straightforward project. It meets zoning requirement and it keeps the neighborhood character. So, for that reason, I'm in support. But I still believe that there are a few issues that still need to be looked at, and one of them is, I didn't mention earlier, is the garage placement. I think it's a good place where they placed it, but I believe it's going to be, accessibility-wise, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, you drive in here, you go in here, how do you get out? You don't have enough radius here to turn around, so you have to back up all the way. So that's the only thing I see, and the ADA accessibility issues I mentioned earlier for the exterior, like the rear door, which is to the side somewhere here. So when you want to take residents out, they can come down here and come straight to the. But other than that, as I said, it's a pretty straightforward project, and I'm in support.
Thank you very much. Before I make my comment, I missed the questioning the wall units, the AC wall units. Can somebody elaborate?
Have to open the hearing again.
Mr. Martin, can I have it come up one more time? And if you have anything else after you answer my question, you're welcome to.
Yeah, they're multi-zone heat pump system, and it's a ductless system. And it is a very efficient unit, and there will be 7 zones, and each room will have its own thermostat with a coil that the hot freon and cool freon go into the room, and whatever the temperature is required, it will provide that for that. But because of the ductless aspect, it's very efficient.
As I was going to say, so ductless, you're relying on the coils to.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Martin,
Yeah.
come back again.
Sorry. These units do produce a fair amount of condensation. Is there a plan to get that out, and does that affect design at all?
Well, it doesn't, no. It's fairly simple. We've got landscaping near there, and we've got some slope to the front, we could do that, or if we can take it into a drain system,
So it's going to go into the interior walls and then go out at like close to ground level? Or is it
Yeah.
going to come off of one of the walls? And then,
Yeah, actually, I haven't gotten into the details.
So it has a condensing drain that allows
Yeah,
it
there
to-
will be a drain system, of course. These things will be collected,
yeah.
so that we're not dripping each individual one. Yeah, we've got to, of course, do that.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure how we'll detail it yet.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, my comments, I'll support the project with those few tweakings that I mentioned with the roof and the venting, and if there's a possibility to raise the building about a foot to give it a little mass and to relate the context better. But I'm going to leave that as a consideration if it doesn't work. But overall, I'm in support. Mr. Jake, before we make a motion, can you go over the condition aside from the staff's condition?
Sure. The board, there was a discussion of the smooth stucco versus the sand finish. The sand finish is shown as, or the applicant indicates that's the proposal. Staff supports that given the context of the neighborhood, but if the board is okay with that?
That's fine.
As shown on the material board?
Yeah.
There was a question about the height of the E-vent and also about the height of the building itself. There's a consideration to raise the building 1 foot. I assume then we'd leave the or the gable
Yeah,
vent where it is. If they don't raise the building, you want to see the vent lowered about
yeah.
a foot or some reasonable amount, so we'll lower the vent. Staff wanted clarification on the roof line at the east facade along the driveway. The issue for us is that two things. This is a gable or a gable on hip roof form, which typically doesn't have interruptions on the side. The other issue is that they're at the minimum 10-foot driveway width. When we insert, if I was picturing correctly, I'd be picturing possibly a hipped.
No, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, if you could explain what.
On the side, you'll just continue the slope of it and drop it a little bit, something like that. And the same thing will come in and do this.
Just have a break in the line.
Oh, just to extend the eave out over the door opening?
Over the projection?
Okay, because there's no projection on the driveway side.
Well, over the entry there.
Oh, so we'll extend the eave over the entry and then extend the eave over the projection on the west facade.
Just a 1 foot overhang,
Okay, that helps clarify.
Break it.
just to break it a little bit.
So we'll extend eave at east and west. All new trees will have be 24-inch box specimens. Board member Benlian mentioned the brick veneer being too high, and I didn't hear. We thought it was appropriate.
Figure about 3 feet.
Yeah, we thought the datum line of it serving as a sill course when you look at the window on the left side. That seemed like the appropriate height on that side, and then that set the datum line for the rest.
I think the colors are taking it off a little
Yeah.
bit, so.
And on the elevation, they're okay, but I mean, the rendering is kind of tricky.
Yeah, we have to forget renderings in general. That's our
So if it's
issue lately. So
It's a little more
so
muted
we'll
color
leave the
with-
brick veneer as proposed. Concern about the garage radius. The radius meets code right now, and it is a typical condition that you may have to back down the driveway, and that's how it works in these zones. So we'll leave that off. The ADA accessibility at the rear, the architect expressed because it's a flat lot, it's probably going to work out that they have grade level egress there. It's not really a design issue to put a ramp, but we could put it in as a consideration if there is a grade change there, if the board agrees.
Well, we could say provide accessibility through the backyard. I mean,
I don't know that we can mandate that if it's not a code requirement because it's not a design issue,
all right.
but we can certainly point it out as something that was noticed.
Okay.
And let me just,
And then landscaping.
I have the tree size. Is there another landscape issue?
No, that was it.
Okay. And did you want something about the condensate from the AC
Oh,
units?
yeah. So one of the things that I think we need to have staff look at, and I would suggest this be a requirement, is to ensure that we don't have condensation. There's going to be 7 units. We don't want to have condensation lines running across the side yard. There's apartments on both sides. People are going to be looking at this. You don't want to have plastic tubing on the lines. These should go, probably go down maybe a foot off the grade. Thank you. Long day. and then they're fine if they drip into landscaping that way.
Okay, and then they may have to provide some sort of floor drainage that will then drain toward the landscape or something. So we'll just have a note.
Yeah,
to have
heat gravel
appropriate
or
drainage
something, just
without,
to have it drain through, yeah.
provide drainage for condenser units without excessive conduit on the surface face of the building.
Can we just say they have to be concealed and just terminate it to the bottom or somehow?
Well, since we have 7 units that are on mounted on the wall, it's behind the building, so
Okay.
it's not going to be beautiful, but I think the drain lines will be the least of it, and then we can get some sort of floor drain
Okay.
put in. So, and then if you want to open the hearing, we're trying to reopen hearings once we make conditions to just double check that the applicants are okay with all the conditions that they've heard.
Okay.
This has come up in some previous hearings with other boards, and
Sure, that's a good idea.
yeah, so we're going to try to start doing that more.
Mr. Martin, can you come up again and tell us if you concur with the conditions?
Just step up to the microphone.
Yeah.
Or we understand the conditions that we're...
I think so. The only one I'm not sure of is, now all the suggestions that were made, are redesign the front and side elevations. That can be handled with staff, right? They can review that. So I don't have to
Yeah.
wait another month and a half is what I'm
No.
concerned about.
Yeah, this is all.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to collect the condensates, deal with them somehow, conceal it, obviously. We don't want a building that looks like it's been remodeled as soon as it's brand new, obviously. And I'll take a look at with Vista exactly how we can tinker with the exterior elevations. The disabled access, like I said, I'm a CASP, and this is a residence. There's no requirement for it, but we do see that it's going to be necessary at some point. And like I said, the grade is very slight, I think, at the back. So it seems like we could certainly, grandma and bedroom slippers and a walker.
Okay.
So it seems like that'll be fine. And I think that was the main ones. So. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right. We done, Jay?
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a motion. Make a motion.
I'll second it.
I didn't make the motion. I was thinking you wanted me. Motion approved with conditions?
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Benlian,
Yes.
Board Member Charchian.
Yes.
And Chairperson Mardian.
Yes.
Vote carries 3-0.
I forgot to include the staff conditions. I assume those
Yes,
are
we'll
included.
get aside from the...
Okay, sorry about that.
We have no minutes for tonight's meeting. It's my understanding that they will come before you at the next meeting in September.
They send it to us.
I don't
They
believe
sent us
there
minutes.
was any in this
They
packet. That's my
emailed.
understanding.
All right, we can...
Nothing to approve, at least, for tonight. So at this point,
Motion adjourned.
motion to adjourn. A second?
Second, and... Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.